I used to think I had to downplay my family stuff at work.
Okay.
Like if I needed to leave early for a school play,
Right.
I thought that was unprofessional.
Oh, that's so common, though.
Really?
Yeah, people think that all the time. But there's actually research from the Harvard Business Review
Okay.
that says being open with your employer
Okay.
about your family needs
Right.
can actually lead to better outcomes for everyone.
Really? That's so surprising.
Yeah, it's interesting, right?
How more?
So the study found that employees with flexible work arrangements,
Okay.
they tend to report higher job satisfaction and they have lower stress levels.
That makes sense.
And, being upfront about your needs is often like the first step to getting those arrangements in place.
So it's better to be proactive
Yeah, exactly.
instead of waiting until things reach a breaking point.
For sure.
That's interesting.
Think about it this way. When you initiate that conversation,
Okay.
you're showing strength and professionalism.
Okay.
You're not just reacting to problems,
Right.
but you're actively trying to find solutions.
Solutions that work for everyone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Solutions that benefit both you and your employer.
I see. So it's about framing the conversation positively.
Yeah. And being proactive.
Exactly.
Like instead of saying, I have to leave early,
Right.
it's more like, here's what I need to be fully engaged and productive,
Yeah.
both at work and at home.
That's a great way to put it.
Thanks.
And the good news is that more and more companies
Okay.
are becoming more open to these conversations.
That's great.
There's a real shift towards flexible work arrangements,
Like what?
like compressed work weeks and flex time.
Oh, yeah.
And even remote work.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That can be a total game changer,
Right.
especially for those who don't thrive in a traditional 9-to-5 office setting.
For sure.
But what about people who don't have those options? What about people who don't have those forward-thinking employers?
Well, that's where setting boundaries comes in.
Boundaries.
Yeah, think of it as creating dedicated spaces
Okay.
for work and for family time.
Okay.
And minimizing distractions in both.
That makes sense. But it's easier said than done,
Yeah, it can be tough.
especially with all the emails and messages. Right. It's like you're always on.
There's the lines between work life
Right.
and personal time.
Exactly. And that's why you need boundaries. It's crucial to protect your time
Okay.
and your sanity, even if it means pushing back against those employers. Those employers who expect you to be available 24/7.
It can feel kind of intimidating to do that, though,
I know what you mean.
especially if you're worried about what they'll think.
Right.
Do you have any tips for navigating those conversations?
Well, one strategy is to communicate your availability upfront.
Okay.
You could say something like, I'm fully available during these hours.
Okay.
And I'll check emails later tonight after the kids are asleep.
So it's about setting those expectations from the beginning
Exactly.
instead of just reacting to every demand.
Right. You're in control of the narrative.
I like that a lot.
This leads us to another important aspect
Okay.
of balancing parenting and work.
Which is
Time management.
on timing.
That's a skill I'm always working on.
Me too. It always feels like there's just not enough time.
I know.
Not enough time to do everything.
Yeah. Right.
Were there any techniques in your research that you found helpful?
One that stands out is the Pomodoro technique.
I've heard of that.
Have you ever tried it?
I haven't actually.
You should. It's really simple,
Okay.
but super effective.
Okay. Tell me more.
Basically, you work in focused intervals,
Okay.
25-minute intervals.
45 minutes. Okay.
And then you take a short break,
How short?
just 5 minutes. And then after you do 4 of those,
Okay.
you take a longer break,
Cut out.
like 15 or 20 minutes.
Interesting. So it's like interval training for your brain.
Huh. I like that.
Like those little breaks help you reset
Exactly.
and prevent burnout.
Right.
I'm definitely going to try that.
You should.
It sounds like a great way to stay focused and productive.
That is.
But even with that,
Yeah.
there's still that feeling
What?
of never having enough time.
Oh,
Like you're constantly playing catch up.
that's a really important point.
It is.
And it's something a lot of working parents struggle with.
Right.
That feeling of never having enough time.
Exactly.
That's where this concept of good enough comes in.
Good enough. Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
It's about shifting away from perfectionism
Okay.
because that can be really draining.
Oh, for sure.
And honestly, it's just not attainable.
Right.
Sometimes good enough really is enough.
So true. So does the laundry really need to be folded perfectly right now?
Uh-huh. Right.
Or can it wait?
Exactly. That's the question.
Every working parent has asked themselves at some point.
Exactly. And the research actually suggests that letting go of perfectionism can lead to greater well-being overall.
That's interesting.
It's about prioritizing.
Okay.
Prioritizing what truly matters.
And letting go of the things that don't.
Yes, exactly.
So it's about being intentional with your time
Yeah.
and energy.
Right.
and focusing on what truly moves the needle, both in your career and your family life.
You got it.
I love that.
And those top priorities,
Yeah,
they'll look different for everyone.
of course.
It's about finding what works for you
Right.
and your family
Exactly.
and like releasing the pressure
Yeah.
to conform to some external ideal.
Yeah. That's so much.
We've covered so much:
Open community.
communication, boundaries,
Nah.
time management,
For sure.
embracing good enough.
All important.
There's one more thing I wanted to touch on.
Okay, what's that?
It feels crucial for like thriving as a working parent, and that's self-care.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You can't forget self-care.
It's so important.
It really is the foundation for everything else.
It's like they say on airplanes,
What's that?
put on your own oxygen mask before helping others.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly. And self-care is so often seen as selfish
I know.
when it's really the opposite.
Yeah.
It's essential for being the best parent.
And the best employee you can be.
You can't show up for anyone
Right.
if you're running on empty.
Exactly.
And yet it's so often the first thing to go.
Yeah. When we're feeling stressed,
When we're stretched thin,
it's hard to make time for ourselves.
we know it's important,
Yeah.
but it feels impossible to actually do it.
I hear you. But here's the thing.
Okay.
Self-care doesn't have to be some big event.
Okay.
It can be small,
Oh, like what?
like a quick workout or using a meditation app for a few minutes, or even just 5 minutes with a cup of tea.
I love that. Small acts of self-care.
They can make a big difference.
So true. It allows you to show up more energetically
Yeah,
in all areas of your life.
for sure.
But even with all that,
Yeah,
you can still feel overwhelmed.
it
You
happens.
can still feel like you're not doing enough.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I know that feeling well.
Especially when your kids are younger.
Right.
You feel like you're not being a good enough parent.
I constantly beat myself up about that when my kids were little.
It's easy to get stuck in that cycle of self-doubt.
Yeah.
Like you're the only one struggling.
Right.
Like everyone else has it all figured out.
Exactly. And you're like drowning.
Yeah. And that comparison can be so damaging.
It is.
The truth is, most of us are just figuring it out as we go.
I think that's true.
We're all just doing the best we can.
With what we have.
Right. And that's why it's so important
Okay.
to build a support network.
A support network.
Yeah. Knowing you're not alone
Yeah.
can make all the difference.
That makes sense.
Connecting with other working parents
Okay.
who get what you're going through can be
Yes.
so validating.
Like having a team of cheerleaders in your corner.
Huh. Exactly.
But finding those people can be hard,
I know what you mean.
especially when you're already feeling stretched so thin.
Right. You're already so busy.
So where do you even start?
You might be surprised to find that those connections are often closer than you think.
Really?
Yeah, think about your colleagues at work.
Okay.
You might not realize how many of them are also parents.
That's true. It's
Huh.
easy to get caught up in the day-to-day stuff.
Yeah, you forget that your coworkers have lives outside of work.
Exactly.
And those shared experiences can be a powerful thing.
So true.
It can be a foundation for connection and support.
It's like you suddenly go from colleagues to comrades,
Right. Comrades in the parenting trenches.
sharing war stories and survival tips.
Exactly. And even beyond the workplace,
Yeah.
there are other ways to connect,
Like what?
like online parenting groups
Oh,
or
okay.
community groups,
Yeah.
or even just talking to people at your kid's school
Right.
or at their extracurricular activities.
It's amazing how much of a difference it makes.
I know.
Just knowing you're not alone.
right?
Like it's okay to not have it all figured out.
It's a collective exhale.
Yeah.
It's normalizing the feeling of imperfection
Exactly.
and creating a space where we can support each other.
I love that.
Me too.
We've covered a lot today. From open communication to boundaries to time management
Right.
and embracing the good enough philosophy.
All great strategies.
It's clear that there are so many things we can do
Yeah,
to create a more balanced life, a
absolutely.
more fulfilling life.
I agree.
I'm feeling really inspired after this deep dive.
Me too.
It's given me so much to think about.
Yeah,
I'm definitely going to try that Pomodoro technique.
you should. It's really helpful.
Even small shifts
In perspective,
and a few practical strategies.
can make a big difference.
That's amazing.
And remember, you're not alone in this.
Yeah.
There's a whole community out there.
Of working parents
Yeah, we're all navigating these waters together
celebrating each other's wins.
and offering support.
It's so easy to compartmentalize those two parts of our lives. Like work and family are these separate things.
Yeah, but they're not.
The work self and the parent self.
They're always influencing each other.
They are. It's all connected.
It is.
Recognizing that can be so powerful.
Yeah, it's not just about balance in the moment.
Right. It's about building a life
A life that feels authentic.
and meaningful in the long run.
Exactly.
And that's where all these strategies come in.
Right. Open communication,
Boundaries,
time management,
embracing good enough,
self-care.
building a support network.
It's all connected
These are the building blocks
for a fulfilling life,
and a sustainable life.
one that feels good.
I'm feeling so inspired after this conversation.
Me too.
It's given me a lot to think about.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to try that Pomodoro technique.
It's really helpful. I think you'll like it.
Sometimes just a small shift in perspective
Yeah.
or a few practical strategies.
Can make a huge difference.
It really can.
And don't forget, you're not alone.
There's a whole community out there.
Of working parents,
We're all navigating this together,
celebrating each other's wins.
offering support.
It's a journey.
So on that note, it's time to wrap up
Okay.
this deep dive into parenting and work.
We've covered so much
We explored some strategies
for surviving
and thriving.
in these demanding but rewarding roles.
To our listeners out there,
You're doing an amazing job.
you really are.
Keep believing in yourself
Keep seeking support.
and keep striving to create a life you love.
A life that feels right for you.
Until next time.
Take care, everyone.